And welcome to the Outs Flight Deck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where, Cliff, you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. If you ever over to royalretros.com and use the promo code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. So not only will you be able to save 10%, Cliff, on almost anything baseball related, there is football, basketball, but man, there's CFLPA merchandise. There's Canada football merchandise. There's even hockey merchandise for Canada and everything else, along with Canadian football stuff. So again, head over to royalretros.com and check out what they have over there. I'm Tim Capper. You can find me on X and Blue Sky over at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and Blue Sky over at Cliffy D.
So it's been a multi-day thing for the show this week, and we'll explain why in a couple of minutes here. But that really wasn't the thing of the week. It kind of was, we're in mid-April, April showers bring May flowers. But in our case, let's see, what did we have? We had snow. I was like, what the hell? I bet you our friends out west are saying, "Whoa, gosh, you poor fellas."
Bless your heart. You got what? Not even an inch of snow. Bless your heart.
But it's still, it's like, we're less than a month from the beginning of camp starting. And it's like, come on, can it just warm up, please? Please. We're almost at Easter. I didn't want to find a frozen bunny out in the backyard.
No. And again, maybe that's a good way to keep those Easter eggs, freshly chilled so that you can enjoy them later. But again, isn't that what everybody's complaining about? The price of eggs being so bloody expensive. So maybe this is Mother Nature's way of incubating and keeping them, fresher longer. I don't know.
Something. Enter egg comment here. Yeah, it's again. I think we're just kind of a little bit misled by Mother Nature, Cliff, because one day it was like plus 16 degrees, and then the next day we had. I think we woke up, it was -6 outside, but we got up to +4, and it's like in the snow, rain, sleet, everything, and it's like it's just can we just mind you? I say this, tongue in cheek, kind of. It's like can we choose a season? But then again, I remember again, this is Canada, where even though it is a very safe job, meteorologists get it wrong more often than not.
They really do. They really do. Best way to find out what the weather's like, just stick your head outside, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, the weather did get nice for the launch of the it was their open house that they had in St. Jerome this past week. It seemed to be fun with all the players that they had there and whatnot they held there. But obviously the big thing is coming up in less than a month. May 11th. Can't wait for to see everybody in St. Jerome. So it's gonna be absolutely fun. Mm-hmm. And before we get to our first thing we want to talk about here on the show this week, we have a little bit of surprise for our listeners that talk about the draft, and we have a little bit of a surprise for our listeners for the next couple of weeks, don't we?
We sure do. We started this last year, just before the draft. We were very fortunate to speak with a CFL draft prospect. That would be John Boss, who ended up being drafted by the Toronto Argonauts. And lo and behold, he is now a Grey Cup champion as a result of that. So I'm not saying that any draft prospects that come onto our show automatically win the Grey Cup in their rookie season, but I guess maybe the precedent has been set. So I guess we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With that in mind, though, we decided we really enjoyed chatting with John last year, and we thought, okay, you know what? We got to invite another prospect on. But what's better than one CFL draft prospect? Two CFL draft prospects. So we are very excited to be able to present the CFL Draft Prospect Series here on the Alouettes Flight Deck. This week, we will be speaking with one draft prospect. And if you tune into next week's show, you'll get to hear from yet another CFL Draft Prospect. So we're very excited to be able to present that this evening. And I got to tell you, we spoke with two great young men that I think will be tremendous fits for the Montreal Alouettes if they decide to go in that direction. But regardless of where they end up, I think these are two fine, outstanding young men that clearly love football and are ready to wherever they end up drafted, they're going to be there to roll up their sleeves and get to work and be the best version of themselves for their prospective team. So make sure you stick around, folks, because we get a chance to talk with Jeremiah Ojo of the Montreal Carabins, defensive lineman. And yeah, we're very excited to be able to present him and let him share his story with you, the listeners and viewers. So stick around because this is a great chat.
Yeah, for sure. And you won't have to wait long. That's for sure. As it being the off season and leading up to training camp and whatnot, that the Alouettes still do have some moves that they made. There were some other roster moves that happened today and yesterday as we were taping this. We will talk about that after the interview. But before we do speak with Jeremiah, let's go over real quickly because there really isn't that much Alouettes news this week. But we still have to give props at least to some of the guys that Danny Machocha has brought into the into the flock, and which we will most likely be seeing at training camp in less than a month.
Yeah, I mean, at this time of year, you're pretty much signing camp bodies. You're bringing hopeful players that will get a chance to showcase what they can do, and will they end up making the final roster? Only time's going to tell. So relatively quiet though, but at the same time, certain moves have been made. So let's dive into that. The Alouettes signed Cam Johnson, wide receiver from Northwestern. Willington Prevalon, I think I'm saying that right. Prevalon, defensive lineman from Rutgers. Don Callis, a defensive back from Troy. So another Sunbelt player, which I tell you, watching the Sunbelt over the past couple of years, I've really, truly enjoyed that style of football. I mean, I find this very reminiscent of the CFL, like the atmosphere on those college campuses and the style of play that these guys, like I find a lot of these Sunbelt players do extremely well here. So I'm really curious to see what Don Callis can bring to the Montreal Alouettes. And last but certainly not least, Hunter Pontius, offensive lineman from North Dakota State, who also too a national champion, Division II, but national champion nonetheless for North Dakota State. Wow, I gotta say, I saw the numbers on this guy, and this is a big boy, and boy, he has done very well as a member of the Bisons. I think that with this offensive line right now as it sits, there's definitely a lot of talent on there, but you can't have too many good big men, right? I mean, I think this addition is one that is going to hopefully pay out massive dividends for the Montreal Alouettes as far as being able to shore up the depth, because yes, it is mostly a national offensive line, but there's still a couple of American players that can get on there. So there's no reason why Hunter Pontius can't be a member of this organization as well if he shows up and shows out. So, again, these are not household names yet, but in less than a month's time, they're going to have the chance to show off what they can do. And maybe by the end of training camp, some of these names, if not all of them, could truly become members of this Alouettes team, whether it's on the active roster or as part of the practice squad.
Exactly. And it's true. I mean, I'm sure it's the way that it is across the league too, but the Sun Belt really has, for these guys who will be signed from the Sun Belt, they've made a pretty good name for themselves, and the league itself. I mean, the Sun Belt has become very, very strong when it comes to football and a hell of a pedigree. You really even think about the Sun Belt, South Alabama, Coastal Carolina, Troy. It's like, no. What are you talking about?
App State, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just think of the guys who the Alouettes have signed in the past who played at these schools. And we have a bunch of guys currently on the roster who are, from the Sun Belt here. I think we have a couple of guys from South Alabama. I think we have some guys from Troy already. And again, it's a conference. It's an NCAA conference, which has really, really grown. And I think it just goes to show what type of football there is. And it kind of really, when I look at the guys that we're going to be having in this draft prospect series, it just goes to show where these guys are from. And it's the way the CFL is, whether they're Canadian or not, Cliff. The diamonds in the rough are found everywhere. Just look at the guys who've become major, household names in the CFL.
100%. And again, that's the thing that people just don't always, they have a hard time remembering, I will say, is that talent is everywhere. There's talent all over. It's not just in the NFL. There's a lot of talented players that, for whatever reason, don't make it in the NFL. They come to the CFL. They have a really nice career. They get to showcase what they're able to do. Sometimes they even go back to the NFL and are richer for the experience, having played week in and week out up here in Canada. And if not, they still end up coming up with a pretty respectable career as a member of the CFL. So, as you said, the Sun Belt has produced some pretty outstanding players in all walks of football, and here in the CFL too. Like, they can truly thrive in this environment. And again, it's an environment that they're very familiar with because, as I said, if you go to like a lot of these, like just watching the games on TV, even like the atmosphere is very similar to what you see in Saskatchewan or Hamilton or even here in Montreal. Like, it is like, it's also called the Fun Belt. A lot of people call it the Fun Belt because, again, these kids are having fun. They're having a blast. It's great competitive football, just like here in the CFL. I mean, it's great. It's competitive. It's exciting. It's fun. I mean, to me, I think it's a perfect marriage. I mean, if you get, obviously the dream is to make it in the NFL. I get that. But you know what? If it doesn't work out for whatever reason, you come to the CFL, you latch on to one of these teams here. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these Sunbelt players would probably say, you know what? This is very reminiscent of what it was like for me back in the day when I was in college or university.
Yeah, for sure. And, you don't necessarily need a stadium of, 45, 50, 60, 100,000, because a lot of these things are very similar to what the stadiums, the capacities are, what they are in the Sun Belt. So, I mean, it's perfect football. And as I said, I know we're talking about, but it's more than this. It's the smaller conferences, Cliff, that I think that really do an amazing job. I mean, hell, I'll take a bunch of guys from the SEC. I have no problem with that. The Big 10, the Big 12, or whatever it's called, whatever it's called now, or whatever division they've decided to call themselves now. Again, that's about football, and the way things have changed over the years. When it comes to having wherever these players are now going to become available from, it's now down to the UFL. In the past, it was the Arena League. It's not the same as it was anymore. So you got to find these players where they can. And so far, Danny Mac's done a good job. And, the Alouettes are all the better for it. So,
yeah, I said it before, and I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. You can't hide talent. If you've got talent, someone's going to find you. You're going to find a job in football if you've got the talent. And simply put, it's just a matter of, okay, some people just have that, tunnel vision, NFL or bust. I'm like, no, you can carve out a pretty respectable career in the Canadian Football League, or if you end up in the UFL, use as a stepping stone to get to the CFL or the NFL again. It really just comes down to, if you've got the talent, eventually someone will find you. Someone will give you the chance to showcase it, and you can carve yourself out a pretty nice career.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking about carving careers, they always have to start somewhere, and that's whether it be the global draft or the upcoming CFL draft. And as you teased at the very beginning of the show, Cliff, we have a very, I think it's a very interesting series that we have coming up over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I say let's get this party started, because this young man that you're about to hear from for the very first time on the Alouettes Flightdeck, just a tremendous talent. I mean, you take a look at the film, you take a look at the combine numbers, you take a look at all these things just on paper. It sounds like an absolutely fantastic football player, but we also want to know about the man behind those numbers. As this young man gets ready for his CFL career, we wanted to get a little more insight into that. So we were very excited, very pleased to be joined by Jeremiah Ojo from the Université de Montréal. I tell you, this a great way to kick off this series, and with any luck, this will become a recurring thing for the Alouettes Flightdeck over the next couple of years, as we want to showcase all the Canadian talent that we can. Because let's face it, Tim, there is a lot of great Canadian talent, and not just in U Sports, but in the NCAA, all walks of football. There is, just having that Canadian passport nowadays isn't the hindrance. If anything, I think a lot of scouts, you know, continent wide are looking at Canadian talent and saying, "Hey, there's some pretty damn good football being played from, north of the border." So, without any further ado, let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. We now welcome Jeremiah Ojo to the Alouettes flight deck. Ladies and gentlemen, the CFL draft is coming up very quickly, actually. And as we did last year, we have invited another draft hopeful to come on the show to sell himself to all 9 Canadian Football League teams, not just the Alouettes, but to all 9 teams and their fan bases and so on. We are extremely excited this evening to be joined by none other than from the Montreal Carabins, Jeremiah Ojo. Jeremiah, welcome to the Alouettes flight deck.
Thank you for having me.
All right. How exciting is this? I mean, you're in less than 2 weeks, you're about to land a job in the Canadian Football League. I mean, how exciting is that right now?
Oh man, it's so crazy. It's so exciting. I mean, what better job to have than playing the sport that you love, and getting money playing it. So it's exciting. I can't wait. It's exciting, but at the same time, I'm taking my time. I'm enjoying every step of the process. We finished the combine now. I'm just taking it day by day and just enjoying these last few moments of hopefully maybe my last days before being pro. So yeah.
And being a member of the defensive line, you're going to get paid to hurt people. How great is that?
Oh man, when you play defense, that's what you sign up for. Sometimes you want to get moved on offense. Sometimes people tell me, "Oh, I see you at tight end receiver." I'm like, "Yo, I'm here to inflict pain on people." So I love doing the hitting. If I could get paid doing that, even better.
I mean, talk about the cherry on top, right? Just okay, I get to hurt people, and they're going to give me money for it. Hello.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh,
We want to ask you a few things before we talk about the combine and stuff like that. We want to know, a little bit about Jeremiah and your football, timeline and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we know you're playing at UDM, but did you play football before that? What got you started in football? I mean, was there anybody in particular who turned you to football? What was your earlier university career like in football?
Yeah. So when I first started playing football, I was a little kid. I started probably around 8 years old. I played for the Chattagee Raiders. I played for the Chattagee Raiders, but I only played from around 8 to 10 years old. Because when I was 10, I think I got a minor injury. I think I hurt my leg or something. And I'm of Nigerian descent, right? So my parents, especially my pops, he was like, "Yeah, no more football for you. We didn't come to this country to see you get injured playing a sport." So I focused on basketball, and I focused on basketball my whole life, my whole upbringing. Moved to Montreal. I went to high school, played basketball as well, from Sec 1 to Sec 5, up until grade 11. And then when I came back to football, was actually in Cégep. So in college in Cégep, right before university, that's when I returned back to football. And the reason why I returned back, I guess to make it a long story short, but so I was playing basketball, right? But I knew that I had kind of reached my ceiling a little bit. I knew I could probably play Cégep, maybe university, but I knew I wasn't gonna go that far, But even though I still love basketball, and there was one day at my high school, I went to Dorval Jean 23. So my high school, we went to go. This was in grade 11, went to go watch our high school's football game. Like the whole school, I think we missed like the third period to go watch the game. And as we were watching the game, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, I feel like I could hang with these boys. I feel like if I were to be on this field, I was like, I feel like it's nothing too crazy. So I don't know. I started missing football. And then one of my friends who was on the football team, he was telling me, "Yo, Ojo, you should come to this showcase." And this showcase is called the Athletic Academy Showcase. It's a showcase for high school football players to showcase their talents to stage up coaches so they can get recruited. I was like, "Bro, I haven't played football in like 6+ years. What's the point?" He's like, "Ah, bro, it's gonna be fun." I'm like, "Okay, we'll try it out." So I got my older brother's cleats. I got my friend's little brother's helmet from like Sun Youth. I was just mix and matching everything, And so when I went to the showcase, the first part was like a combine, and the second part we put on the pads and we played football. So for the first part, for the combine part of the showcase, I remember I finished running my 40-yard dash, and then the recruiter of John Abbott College, which is where I played stage, he came. His name is Coach Jim, came to see me. He's like, "Come see me after the showcase." I was like, "Oh snap! Like I'm already getting recruited. We haven't even put on the pads yet. In basketball, I haven't even gotten recruited yet." So I was like, "Okay." So we did the showcase. I ended up getting recruited by a couple other Sageps, I ended up choosing John Abbott. So that's how I came back to football.
Nice. I'm
Which
a
other?
former I'm a
Actually,
former member of
yeah.
John Abbott as well.
Oh, nice.
Not football though. I gotta tell you a quick something. I tried out when I went to college. This was several years ago. I don't want to reveal my age, but it was several years ago. You may not have been playing football or even been thinking about football at that point, but I digress.
Oh, good.
They didn't know where to. I didn't know where to play, and I didn't know where they were going to put me. So they just put me on the offensive line. I took one hit, went flying, and that was the end of my football career. Like literally, my soul left my body. Just running into this D lineman, I think just came crashing right in and just. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm better off watching this game or talking about this game or writing about
Yeah,
this game or doing things other than actually participating in the game. But yes, this was at John Abbott as well. So it's good to see a fellow Islander.
for sure. Cold Blue. Went to Abbott alumni with family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was the other universities, Jeremiah, that reached out to you before you decided on John Abbott?
Who are the other universities? There was a lot. Most universities, to be honest.
Oh, sorry, I meant CEGEPS. Sorry, I meant CEGEPS. Which CEGEPS?
Oh, CEGEPS. I had CVM, so Collège du Vieux-Montréal. I had Montmorency. Those are the ones of note. There was a couple D3 stages that honestly I don't even remember. But the ones of note was CVM, Momo, and John Abbott.
Let's say CVM. For those who don't know, CVM has always had a great pedigree when it comes to uh, when it's come to CEGEP football. So it's
Yes.
but and the way things change within the CEGEP landscape itself, the pantheon, Jeremiah. You know, your team can be in D3 one year, but depending on how well you do, you'll end up going in between the different levels there for CEGEP. So
Yeah.
um, and I interrupted you too. So you're talking about also universities. Which other universities tried to recruit you to?
So honestly, it was most Canadian universities. I didn't have in Quebec. I didn't have Université de Laval, nor did I have Sherbrooke, but Concordia and McGill. In Ontario, I had Western, McMaster, Laurier.
Mm.
Also had UBC. So yeah, most of the OUA schools, most of the OUA schools, if not all, and UBC as well. And yeah,
What was the your thought the reasoning why you chose UDM over everybody else?
yeah. So coming out of Sage I told myself, everyone's dream is to play D1, right? D1 football in the States. But I was telling myself, I told myself either D1 or EDM. And the reason why I told myself that was because if I was like, if I stay in Canada, I want to make sure I go to a top football program, go to a top football program where I know I could improve as a football player and also have a chance to compete, for a championship. And then I was like, what better place to go than Université de Montréal? I get to stay home. And I like to think of the future. I like to think of, the future. So I was thinking, if I go elsewhere, I'm gonna have to pay for rent, pay for food. It's more of a hassle, more of a struggle. If I get to stay in Montreal, I get to enjoy my mom's cooking, sleep at home, commute to school. For me, it was the best decision.
And
Can't
obviously they
beat
were
that.
good. And they were good
Exactly.
too. It just kind of, I think at that time you joined UDM, I think Danny Mack had just joined the Alouettes, but I mean, he had quite a pedigree, I'm sure, over at UDM too. And obviously, as everybody remembers, but um, for you, I don't know if there's much of a difference. I mean, everybody knows how good the uh, the French universities, how good their football has become in Quebec and across Canada, because UDM and U Laval have really just dominated the landscape. Um, as a player, uh, how can you talk about U Sport football in general? I mean, not necessarily maybe from the Quebec side of it versus the rest of the country, but how do you if you were to explain how good some of these players are in U Sport, beside yourself, obviously. How would you explain U Sport football to people?
Yeah, I would say youth sports football is definitely is definitely an underrated brand of football. You've got some great players, got some great players across every single conference, whether it's RCQ, OUA, Canada West, even AUS. There's definitely some great players. For example, when I was at the Vanier in 2023, now I played against Theo Benedict and Giovanni Manu. Those are two offensive tackles who are in the NFL right now, right? Just to say how how much talent there is. You know, just Taylor Elgersma right now is getting some NFL buzz. You know, some other guys as well in the OUA, like in the RCQ. I play with some great guys on my team and other teams as well. So there's definitely some great football players. So there's some great athletes as well. I feel like sometimes you gotta, I guess sometimes you gotta dig deep to see to notice them. But sometimes as well, you don't even have to dig deep. You just appreciate the youth sports football. You'll see that there's some great athletes, some great team, and some great football being played in youth sports.
I think that's the theme right now, and I think the combine also helped bring that out as well. It's just the fact that there really is a lot of top tier talent in the Canadian university landscape. It's just I think a lot of people were just sleeping on it for whatever reason. Like a lot of people are going NCAA or bust, but in all reality, youth sports is where guys like Taylor Elgersma and so on are really making a name for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. No, there's definitely some nice things going on.
So let's talk about the combine process. You posted a 4:59:40 time. How does a big man like you move so fast? Like that is to me that's crazy. That kind of speed.
Yeah. I would probably attribute it first to my basketball background, probably, you know, since I've always been like before I started playing football, before I started playing Sage, I was playing basketball, right? And you know, when you play basketball, you don't have to be bulky, you don't have to be big. So I was a skinny kid. I was a skinny guy, so I guess I always knew how to move. And one thing, like throughout the years, even though I put on more weight, you know, as I played defensive end, right? When I started at John Abbott, I was probably around 185. I was probably around 185. Yeah, I don't think I was 190 yet. But throughout the years, as I put on more weight, I never felt the extra weight. I know sometimes people will say in the football, like, "Well, how do you feel at this weight? You feel heavy? You feel slow?" For me, it's like I feel the same ever since I've started. You know, I never felt the difference. So I think maybe that basketball background has definitely helped me. And number two, I feel like it's really just a God given. So I give thanks to God. I'm like, Lord, thank you for giving me these athletic abilities. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the offensive linemen you're going to be going up against wish that you didn't get those gifts, but lo and behold, you've got them.
Hey, I got my cards. I'm dealing with them.
Now, with the combine itself, obviously you get a chance to meet with all 9 CFL teams and go through the interview process. Take us through that. Like when it comes to the interview process, we often hear stories about teams asking like really off the wall, offbeat questions that or maybe try to throw you off or get you off your game a little bit. Did you experience that at all during this combine?
Maybe here and there you may get a couple questions that they might be a bit rougher, you know, maybe a bit rougher around the edges, or they might try to throw you off, or maybe they want to see how you react. But when it comes to the interview process, I know there's a lot of like, especially before people like, oh, like it might be a bit of anxiety, they're not sure how it's gonna go. But honestly, for me, it's if you just present yourself, if you got nothing to hide, and you just be authentic, you be honest, you know, you show who you truly are. I feel like there's nothing to worry about. Teams want to know who you are, right? They don't want to know they don't want to know the person that the front you're trying to put up. They want to know who you are really. So if you're just authentic, you be yourself and you show yourself, I feel like teams would appreciate that. So yeah, as long as you're yourself and authentic, it's going to be all smooth.
So nothing weird like what was your favorite nursery rhyme or anything crazy like that. I've heard some real doozies out there. So
Okay, nah, I didn't get any doozies like that. No. Me, it was football.
and as it should be. I mean, like I said, this is a job interview, right? So that if they should be taking you seriously as well as you're trying to take them seriously. So makes
Exactly,
complete sense.
exactly,
And it's that kind of interview too, Jeremiah, where it's, for us who, haven't ever gone through that process, gone through a combine or gone through the interview process, it's more than just, obviously it's the interview process itself, but it also is how well you shine at the combine, how well you've done in your university football career. So it's the way I kind of think of it is that, you know, Google, as an example, as a company, they go through like 4 or 5 different interview processes. For you going through the combine, it's like you're going through different 4 or 5 different interview processes because you're not just trying to promote yourself, you're trying to promote how well you can play.
exactly. It's just like any other company or enterprise. It's a job interview, man. You gotta do the best you can every step.
What was your experience like at the combine itself? I mean, we know what was run during the combine itself. and we saw what your results were. Was there any particular portion of the combine that you enjoyed more than the other? It personally, because obviously everybody went through the exact same thing. But was there anything that you really loved doing at the combine?
All in all, the comment was it was a great experience. It was a great experience. Maybe the thing I loved the most was just getting to know the guys. Just being in. I mean, maybe one thing that you notice, it's always mentioned that the higher you go up in football, like the more elite, the competition becomes. Like it's like a pyramid, right? And it continues to go narrow. It becomes more and more narrow. I feel like at the comment, that's where I really noticed it. That like, okay, now I'm with the big dogs. I'm with the top guys. Like these are the best athletes in the country. So I definitely noticed. But favorite part is really just getting to know all the guys, man. Just crossing guys in the hallway, eating with guys from different conferences. I was eating with the Canada West boys during supper one time, and I made a bunch of friends. And even so getting to know the guys, and maybe I would say the competition period. So like one on, especially one on ones, because one on ones I wasn't able to participate since during the first practice during special teams. I kind of tweaked my hamstring a little slightly, so we decided to to take it easy for the rest of the comeback. We didn't want to make anything worse. But being able to see the boys ball out during one on ones, it was great to see, man. So that was probably my favorite part of the comment, seeing everybody ball out, just showing that everybody belongs.
Do you worry that not being able to participate in the one-on-ones, for example? Because I'm sure a lot of the scouts, the GMs, and so on, they probably wanted to see you match up against like the best of the best when it comes to the offensive line. Do you feel like that's going to hurt your stock any, or do you think that's something that it's just more taking care of yourself and being ready for when your number is actually called in the draft?
Exactly. I do think the most important thing is to take care of myself, and make sure that I'm ready whenever camp is. And also, I don't think it hurt it too much because I was able to improve my stock the day before, and with all the testings. I was able to talk with some of the teams as well, and they were saying that yeah, you're making a good decision. That like they had already amassed what they want to see through watching film and through the testing. So even they were saying that we don't believe that it hurts your stock. So I think everything's all good by the grace of God.
Yeah.
And we saw that too, so I don't know how much you were able to work with him, but we did see that Alouettes defensive coordinator Noah Thorpe was one of the big guys there when it came to running some of the drills and stuff. Did you have much interaction with Coach Thorpe, or was it after you tweaked your hammy?
Yeah, I was after I took my hammy. I didn't have too many interactions with Coach Thorpe. Yeah.
Well, that's
I mean,
somebody
you
that
have
if you have the chance, that would be somebody that you'd definitely want to learn from. But like I said, I definitely think you made the right decision as far as you don't want to overexert yourself. You don't want to maybe show too much as well. You want to leave a little bit of mystery as well. I would think in some certain sense, some circumstances. Oh, that was a tough word.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I don't maybe. But I was able to interact with some of the other coaches, even Coach Byron. Coach Byron Afsonbo were able to talk as well, a couple times during the interview process, also before that on the field as well. So I was able to interact with some of the coaches. It was nice.
You get a good vibe from the Montreal portion of the interview, and again, I guess with interacting with the coaches, you got a good vibe there. But when it came to the actual interview part with the Alouettes, did you get a good sensation? Did you get a good feeling that maybe you could see yourself as an Alouette?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That the interview went well. The interview went very well. I was able to just talk with all the staff that was there. It went great. Yeah, and I definitely see myself in Montreal. I would be happy if I landed home.
I guess that's all the important thing, right? I mean, you talk about I think the secret's out, quite frankly, when it comes to Le Carabin and the Rouge et Or, as far as them being football factories in Canada. And other teams have finally stopped looking at, oh, well, maybe the Alouettes are going to take them. So, but it said, no, we've got to take them. Like, I think now other teams are starting to realize the importance of having guys from the RSEQ become a member of their particular football team. So, in a lot of ways, I think a great performance, a great career as well, has really helped improved your lot. And I think, truthfully, other teams would be wise to consider you as part of their draft plan.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Just some great football being played in RCQ, and no matter which team no matter which team drafts me, whether it's in Quebec or in wherever, whichever province, I'll be grateful, man. I'll be grateful.
What are you gonna when you hear your name called for the draft? What's the one thing that you're gonna look back at and remember the most when it comes to your amateur career in football?
I would say my most memorable moment is definitely winning the Vanier in 2023. Yeah, winning the Vanier in 2023 was just it was a surreal moment for real. Like, just all the work we put in the off season, during the season as well. And just being able to come together for one objective, to win the championship. We talk about it every year, to be able to finally get over that hump and win. It was great. So definitely 2023 Vanier.
Isn't it wild that in 2023, the Montreal Alouettes go to Ontario and win the championship? You guys go to Ontario and win the championship in 2023. Isn't it, again, representing Montreal through and through? I mean, isn't that what a great coincidence, would you not say?
Of course, man. That was Montreal peak, man. Montreal, we felt like we were on the clouds. We felt like we were really running football during that time. So that it was great. It was great for the city.
Oh yeah, great for the city, great for the province. I mean, and
Yeah,
truthfully, great for the country too. I mean, maybe some people don't necessarily want to feel that way, but I mean, I think when all the leagues, whether it's the CFL or U Sports or anything, like that, when you got the best of the best out there performing at the top level, everybody wins in that case. Like everybody eats and everybody wins.
exactly, exactly.
And Cliff, that year too, they were also besides the Alouettes doing the stuff that they did that in 24, they invited the Carabin also, and you got their accolades over at Personal Molson. So
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. It was great.
I was gonna say you've already got experience performing at Percival Molson Stadium, so hopefully the Alouettes realize that and appreciate that and give your name a call on was it, April 29th?
Yeah, maybe, man. Hopefully, I'm sure they know all the RCQ guys, like you guys mentioned. They're always taking a deeper look at them. So yeah, I'm sure they're aware.
Yeah, I was going to say Danny Machocha seems to have a bit of a type when it comes to drafting football players, and he seems to prefer the Québécois, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. Some great football being played, and if you get to let people stay home, that way they can play in front of their friends and family as well. I feel like it's a big for the players.
And being bilingual as well, you would be able to help promote and do marketing for the team as well. So I mean that, as far as I'm concerned, like keeping homegrown talent at home. I mean,
Exactly, it's a win-win. Yeah.
obviously, I said, yeah, that's one of the big things you're looking forward to is draft night itself. Do you personally, Jeremiah, have any plans for draft night? You're just gonna just chill out with some friends and family and wait for the phone call, or I mean, anything in particular that you have planned for that night?
So far, I don't have anything planned. Not even if I do plan something, I'm thinking of making something very intimate. So really just having probably just staying at home. Staying at home, having really just having family, maybe a couple friends as well. Really keep it intimate. And I'm just like you said, probably watch the draft on TV. Follow the live stream on my phone and wait for that phone call. And then once I get that phone call, first, I'm gonna thank God. I'm gonna thank God for the wonderful opportunity and the blessing. I'm gonna embrace my family and friends, and yeah, ready to get going.
no, has any NFL teams been in touch with you as far as the possibility of, if not being drafted in the NFL draft, but also maybe signing as undrafted free agent? Has there been any? Have you had a chance to meet with anybody from the NFL, any NFL teams in regards to that?
Yeah, as of late, no, no NFL traction.
So it's all Canada all the way, right?
Exactly.
There you go. There you go. Well, Jeremiah, we're going to give you the opportunity now to sell yourself. Imagine everybody from the CFL, not just Alouettes fans or Alouettes brass or anything like that. Imagine all nine members of the CFL are paying attention to this podcast. How would you, Jeremiah Ojo, sell yourself to any fan base, to any organization, as what kind of a player you're going to be if they decide to call upon you on draft day?
For sure. I would say I'm someone when it comes to my play, when it comes to being on the field, I'm someone who's definitely very relentless. I'm relentless and I'm tenacious. I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that ball, no matter what the cost is. Whether it's a pass play, whether it's a run play, whether the ball is on the complete other side of the field. I feel like I'm someone. I'm always determined. I feel like I could get there. I feel like I've been given the ability to get to wherever the ball is in the field. So someone who's definitely tenacious and relentless. I was someone who definitely works hard. I feel like lately, especially since the start of 2025 and understanding the work ethic that's needed to remain a pro, but also to improve as a pro. I'm coming in as a rookie. Coming in as a rookie, a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to learn, a lot of things I need to improve on. But I feel like lately I've been able to hang around some pros and like they've been giving me so many different types of tips. I've just been able to see so many different types of things of how much you need to improve and the work ethic. So I'm someone who works hard, who puts the work that's necessary to improve as a player to make sure I contribute in any type of team. And I'll probably say lastly, for what I can offer to the locker room, like for example, at UDM, my coaches and the team, they all call me preacher. They all call me preacher. I'm able to kind of just rally guys around together just to for just for greater good, whether it's for spiritual guidance, whether it's for help or counsel, whatever the case may be. And I'm someone, I definitely like to spread light, positivity everywhere, and just to spread a good message, spread a good news. So I could definitely be a good add-on to the locker room as well. So no matter which team, front office, teammates or fan base that gets me, they're gonna get Jeremiah Ojo, a great football player, a man of God who fears God and who wants to do things the right way. So yeah.
Listen, it really doesn't get much better than that. Which pros have you been hanging out with?
Got a couple at the gym. At the gym, I train at the gym called SSTS, Speed Science Training System. You got a couple Alouettes who train there. You got Austin Mack, Tyrese Beverett, Titus Wall as well. They got some other guys. You got Jeffrey Conte Arcu. You got a couple guys, and they were actually able to help me very much on my shuttle test. They saw me do practicing my shuttle test, and they gave me a couple of tips like, "Yo, Ojo, you gotta come down like this, like you gotta do this, gotta do that." So they were giving me some great tips. I was able to chill with Francis Bimi. He's a D tackle for the BC Lions. He's from Montreal. Went to the same high school. We were just working out earlier today. In February, I was able to go to Florida to train with some pros as well from different teams, like from some guys from Sask, some guys from Hamilton, some guys from Argonauts as well. And like the Argonauts 2025 had a crazy D line. There's about three of them from that D line. In February. So I was like, yeah, I've been able to hang around some pros lately and really just soak everything in and just to learn from the best.
That's incredible. And the best thing about that, iron sharpens iron, right? So you're probably helping them as well as they're helping you, and that to me is just that's how it's got to be done, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly, exactly.
My goodness, this has been a blast, Jeremiah. We are so excited. We don't know where you're going to land on draft day. Hopefully with Montreal, because I think, as I said to you earlier, I think you'd be in a fantastic fit. You'd be working alongside guys like Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, Joshua Archibald, and Anthony Bennett as far as national D linemen go. And again, with the other D linemen as well on the team that are not national. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the addition of you to this D line would just make a good thing even better. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what's going to happen with you. I think whatever team ends up taking you, they're getting a hell of a player, and I couldn't be more excited for you right now. I mean, this is like it's the calm before the storm, right? I mean, like
Exactly.
you, I'm sure you just want this to be over with. You just want to get that call and let's go to work, right?
Exactly, exactly. I can't wait either, man. I can't wait either. Dreams are about to come a reality. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right, before we let you go, Jeremiah, social media. Where do we find you? What's your handle? Where can people get on board the Jeremiah Ojo train, so to speak?
Yeah. So on social media, my handle is Ojo Reel, so OJOREEL. That's on Instagram and that's also on Twitter. So same handle on both, OJOREEL. Yeah, I'm easy to find.
Perfect. And obviously, come the draft itself, Jeremiah. We wish you all the best. As Cliffy said, we would like to see you in the rouge bleu and blanc, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. And but
Exactly.
either way, congrats on a great university career. and we're really looking forward to seeing what you do in the CFL.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on as well.
And again, like we did last year, just promoting these guys is just so much fun because again, whether they're drafted by the Alouettes or not, Cliff, I think it just goes to show, the CFL nation, Alouettes nation, how good some of these guys are, and they're really fun to talk to, and it was really fun speaking with Jeremiah.
Absolutely. And again, we can't overstate yet. We really hope that the Alouettes on draft day select Jeremiah, because I think he would truly be a great fit in this organization along this defensive line that we have. And again, we got some absolute dudes on this defensive line, and I think Jeremiah would not look out of place whatsoever. But you never know. Like that's the tough thing about the draft day, right? Is that you hope your team goes and you draft someone like this, but someone else could come along and be like, you know what? No, I like what this guy has to offer. I like his story. We're going to take him instead. And that's really what it is. So, no matter what, though, I think Jeremiah Ojo is going to be a superstar in this league over the next couple of years. God willing, it's going to be a chance for him to stay here in Montreal, be a part of this organization, and be a part of the culture here in Montreal. But if his career ends up if his career is dictated by going somewhere else, then so be it. We'll be supporting him no matter what, 100%.
Yeah, it's always fun to see these Canadian guys do what they can do. So it's to see them start with university ball and just continue from there. It's really cool. And as I said, it's good stories. I said whether they become Alouettes or not, they're all good stories, and that's all that matters. And I think that's the point behind our series of interviews. So,
not to mention, as I mentioned earlier, John Boss. We had him on last year. Ends up with the Argos. The Argos win the Grey Cup. So I mean, there is something to be said for podcast karma. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I mean, but again, I want to make it clear. If another team drafts Jeremiah Ojo and they win the Grey Cup, we're not taking credit, but maybe we should.
Yeah.
all the more reason why the Alouettes should maybe go out and get this guy. I'm just saying.
Don't forget that we are on social media. You can find us almost anywhere. If you want to find our archive of all the 10 plus seasons, you can do so by heading over to www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. If you're also looking for merchandise, which we're still trying to get some new merchandise on the shop before the season begins, you can head over to flightdeckgear.ca. We're also on X and Blue Sky, and that is over at Alouettes Flight Deck. You can find us over on Facebook over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and you can find us over on Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, you can not only find the audio version, but you can also find the full video version of this podcast, and also our companion post-game show, Flight Deck Live, will be returning for the 2025 season. Most likely, I can say that the premiere episode will be happening at camp. So stay tuned for that. And that again is over on our YouTube page. Speaking of YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Check your bells and decide where you have the right setting to know when we go live. Also, again, we do want to thank our friends over at Royal Retros who've become our presenting sponsor. Again, if you head over to royalretros.com and use the promo code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. Okay, we talked about this at the onset. Not only did the Alouettes make some changes, some additions to the roster, but we did find out just a span of really just less than 48 hours that one well-known Alouette and one somewhat well-known Alouette have decided to call it a career, haven't they, Cliff?
Yes, indeed. That's the thing with additions, deletions. That's part of football. And another part of football, unfortunately, is Father Time does remain undefeated. And sometimes you got to call it a career. And sometimes that happens a lot sooner than you would expected. But that's the thing with football. Everybody loves football. Football loves nobody. So unfortunately, we had to hear about the the retirement of not one, but two members of the 2023 Grey Cup champion roster. We learned about Greg Ellingson, who, yes, believe it or not, folks, was a member of the Grey Cup winning Montreal Alouettes. Unfortunately, did not spend a whole lot of time in Montreal. I mean, as an active member of the roster. Signed as a free agent with the Alouettes in 2023. Played one regular season game. Unfortunately, injuries were too much to overcome, so he saw very limited action as a member of the Alouettes, but still can claim to be a member of a championship organization. Got a Grey Cup ring with the Alouettes, so we definitely have to salute that. Definitely had a hell of a career in the CFL. I mean, stops in Hamilton, most notably in Ottawa. That's where he really came into becoming a superstar in this league. Played for the Elks, had a cup of coffee with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and then ultimately ended his career here in Montreal, at least going out as a Grey Cup champion. So can't be mad about that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's true. I mean, I remember when we signed him, he was one of the bigger, I think it was just after really the PKP had bought the team, that Greg was one of those bigger free agent names that the Alouettes had signed. Again, unfortunately, he got hurt and wasn't able to come back. I mean, I remember, we both of us talked to him at camp. We saw him a couple times at practice. And it's just, again, it's just unfortunate that, a guy with his pedigree. I mean, the guy played, it was 9 full seasons. I think it was 9 seasons in the CFL. Made a hell of a name for himself, but as everybody saw, I mean, most of it was with the Ottawa Red Blacks and some of the catches that he made. But either way, it still is tough to see a guy call it a career. And we were talking about before, not only was there one member of the 2024 2023 championship team, but there was one more, somebody a little bit more well-known.
Yeah. Someone who can also make the claim of being a forever Alouette. That would be David Cote, kicker, who after 4 seasons, last season being unfortunately riddled with injury, he too has decided to call it a career. Unfortunately, the injury he suffered in 2024, ultimately, that's what's led to this. Definitely unfortunate because David Cote, in addition to being a very, very solid kicker for the Alouettes, helping them win 2023 Grey Cup, also a fantastic individual off the field as well. It is unfortunate because I was curious to see if he was going to be able to come back. I mean, he was replaced by Jose Maltos, who has done a phenomenal job in relief.
Yeah.
But the thought was, okay, once Maltos was re-signed, and make no mistake, he had to be re-signed after the year he had in Montreal in 2024. What do we do with David Cote? And because that's the thing with being a kicker, right? I mean, you can't really have 2 kickers on the, dress 2 kickers at the same time. That's eating up an extra roster spot. And I'm very thankful that they decided not to try to make him a kicker and a punter, because that's something that the Alouettes have done over the years, is basically have a hybrid kicker / punter. Whereas over the past couple of years now, they seem to focus on having a kicker that just kicks field goals and a punter that punts. That's it. And I think that's the way to go. I think the way they've done it now works phenomenally. David Cote and Joseph Zima have been doing a fantastic job of that. And now it's Jose Maltos and Joseph Zima, who are last year. I think special teams was definitely not that the Alouettes had problems last year, but I don't think it was as a result of their kicking. Let's put it that way. In any event, it's unfortunate that David couldn't recover from his injury and has decided that, you know what, he got to live his dream. He got to play for the Alouettes after a great career at the Université de Laval. Got his Grey Cup ring. Can technically say he's leaving as a champion. So, it's just unfortunate because, as I said, just a tremendous individual on and off the field. And you hate to see someone like that, called a career early, but I said it before. Everybody loves football. Football loves nobody.
No, and again, yeah, it's funny. We always see it seems to be whatever it is in football. You have one of your number ones get hurt, and somebody steps up and starts to make a huge name for themselves. And you know, everybody, Alouettes Nation will remember Cote. That's a given.
Mhm.
I guess my question would be is where, since the Alouettes returned in '96, where would you put David Cote as a member of the Alouettes and a kicker? I mean, because as you said, that's slight modification on how it's being done. Being done now with 1-1 and not just a guy who does both. But where would you put him? Because I mean, he did some good stuff. I mean, and he was very consistent. Um, where would you rank him when it comes to the most recent kickers that the Alouettes have had?
So that's just it. It's he's in some pretty good company as far as we talk about this particular generation of the Alouettes. But again, you think about names like Boris Bede and Sean White and Damon Duval, as far as like the kickers that we know, like the most recent Grey Cup winners.
Terry Baker too.
Yeah, again, that's also part of it as well. I mean, I think it's a little too soon to, I guess, to truly, rank where David Cote sits in that. But I mean, he's definitely in the discussion. The fact that he won a Grey Cup definitely helps his cause a lot, because again, the Sean Whites and the Boris Bedes, they won Grey Cups, just not as members of the Alouettes.
Yeah.
Whereas Cote did win as an Alouette. Damon Duval did win as an Alouette. Terry Baker won as an Alouette. So. I think it's a little too soon to tell. I think the body's still warm. I hate to put it in that respect, but
God,
yeah. No, I assure you, David Cote is it wasn't that severe an injury. He's very much alive. But now,
man, punt the urn.
Yeah. No, but I look at what David Cote had brought to this team, and I will say there is something about Laval kickers that just appeals to the Alouettes. Like, it's almost like, so now I have to go take a look. I don't know if they would even consider drafting whoever Laval's kicker is. Again, his name escapes me at the moment, but it's kind of a thing that they like to do, right? Is go out and get the Laval kicker. So.
Yeah, and I think it's something that probably is a huge plus. So even with the the streak that Jose Maltas went on last year, just coming this short to Sean White's record for consecutive field goals in a row. It's always good to have another one on the roster, because even if it's just a little bit off to the side, you have a guy who could possibly take over your spot. But it's also good for a little bit of competition. And I think Alouette fans can actually, I hope they would agree with me when it comes to having somebody to push you, because as we've seen in the past, having just one guy do something, sometimes that they can get a little bit, I don't want to say lackadaisical, but they can get a little bit
complacent.
Yes, thank you. That's the best word, is complacent. So we'll see what happens. As I said, now that this has happened, is Danny going to draft somebody? Is Danny going to sign somebody? I'm sure we will find out before camp, because I would not be surprised, Cliff, if there are 2 kickers and 2 punters in camp come early May.
Now, what I think is going to be interesting, though, is considering that both punters are Australian natives. We have Jose Matos from Mexico. Do we go out and get do we go out and get another Mexican-born kicker, or at least another global kicker? If only to, again, you do have the global spots, which Maltos, Zima, and Sam Clark, the other Australian punter, those are all global players. In order to keep that, because again, David Cote is a national player, so that takes up a national spot. Whereas if you've got all global kickers, like whether it's punters or kickers, that opens up the possibility of employing more national players as a result.
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, and it's funny. It's only because I have seen his name recently. We consider it a global. is former Elks kicker Dean Faithful. I mean, there's an idea, but I mean, that goes to what you were saying about maybe they draft a kicker in the global draft. Everybody forgets about the global draft. Maybe so.
Well, and interesting enough, that's where we got the Australian-born punters was from the global draft. So,
yeah.
Again, I think now with David Cote hanging up the cleats, one has to wonder if maybe on draft day, because again, the global draft takes place before the national draft. So maybe, just maybe, if there's a talented kicker in the global draft that's to be had, maybe that's where Danny Machocha is going to be looking, if only to help bolster Jose Maltos and give him that competition that he needs. He shouldn't be fearful for his job, but at the same time, as we said, complacency is not good either. So I mean, you got to have that competition, not just in training camp, but maybe even beyond. So we'll see what happens on draft day, but don't be surprised if the Alouettes start looking at the kicking situation and start thinking globally.
Oh, I see what you did there. That was nice. Yeah. Again, we do hope that you enjoyed the first of the series of the draft prospect interviews that we had. Stay tuned for the next one next week. Yes, that's what I said. Next week. And hopefully we'll have a little bit more Alouettes news to talk about, but either way, you will see us next week. So the lead up to the draft, and everybody knows, I say it every year, the draft isn't my big thing, but you know what? These interviews, I think, really have helped me, and I hope they've helped you, the fans, learn about these guys. Even if it's just to learn about see what these guys are like. So it's again something that we've talked about doing, and we wanted to just expand it a little bit more, and we're glad we did. So
absolutely. I mean, you got to meet a fantastic young man in Jeremiah Ojo. Next week, we won't tease it, but you will be definitely encountering yet another fine young man as well. So by all means, folks, again, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, make sure you're following, hit the notification bell, do whatever it takes to make sure that you will be notified when the next episode comes about. And all the other social media platforms as well, make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribed, however it is that you consume the Alouettes Flightdeck. Make sure you're along with us because, folks, we are less than a month away before training camp opens. It's getting exciting again. It's the fire is starting to build again, and we want you along for the ride. We want you to be a part of the flight crew, so don't miss out. That's all I got to say is just don't miss out.
Exactly. So again, as said, we will be back next week with our next episode, and we hope you do join us. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flightdeck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on final approach.